What would you say? Stock question. To advice, right? Rilke. Rainer Maria Rilke wrote the classic Letters to a Young Poet. Advice to a poet who was still very young and trying to become a poet, trying to find his own voice, her voice. What about your advice to people who are struggling with writing, want to become better writers? You obviously have to deal with students in the semester last semester. What would you tell them? What is the most important thing to keep in mind?
Well, if they're struggling, then it means that they know that they have a weakness. So maybe try and focus on that weakness, be aware of it, so that you know better how to avoid it. So, I mean, I don't know. It depends on the student, I think. It depends on what problem they're having. Are they having a problem like setting up rhyme and rhythm? Or problem finding words that rhyme correctly? Or do they just have trouble coming up with ideas for a poem? I think it depends on the person, but just general advice, maybe, you know, find something you really that you really connect with, something that you really feel passionate about, and start there. Start writing about that, and then, you know, if you feel deeply enough about something, I think maybe that information can come to you. Maybe that inspiration will come out. That might be some advice I would give.
Yeah. What about you? What is your greatest weakness as a writer, you think?
Greatest weakness as a writer? Well, in an academic sense?
Yeah.
Probably my structure itself. That's why I've been changing it. To try different ideas of like writing it backwards and things. I found that helps. That helps a lot. But and I'm trying to deal with that, but it doesn't work every time. Things like that were my biggest weakness. Sometimes also making my sentences understandable. That is to say, sometimes I write sentences that are like a paragraph or two long. Like they just keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
Because I know how to use commas and semicolons and hyphens.
Yeah, I've been told about that too.
So they're very useful tools, but
yeah.
But and to me it's like wow, that's awesome, you know, like it's art right there.
Long serpentine, you know, snake of a leviathan of a sentence. Yeah,
maybe it's compensation. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's like I think it's really artistic.
Not according to who? A rumor is spreading about your...
Oh, yeah. I hear people have been spreading the faith. So
spreading the faith?
Yeah.
Is it true?
I don't know. You'll have to ask David about it.
David,
I mean, I'm not going to deny
it. David Baldridge, yeah, he's taking my class.
David Baldridge.
I'll ask him on Wednesday.
I think you should interview him about it. Ask him about the faith.
I already asked him about his swords, right? in his trunk of his car. So next step is your dick. Seems like, what, a natural progression?
Right on.
Yeah.
But don't say it that way. I mean, you got to ask him about the faith.
Yeah. Oh, he knows about the faith?
Yeah, ask him to evangelize you.
Evangelize me? What do you mean you?
No, I already know about it. Like, we'll just have him tell you about it.
Oh, I see. Evangelize me, I mean,
yeah.
you become a disciple of that faith. Well, I don't, right. I'm like Thomas, right? The disciple of Jesus. I have to see the stigmata, the proof to really believe in it.
I see.
So if I don't see it, I ain't going to be a believer. Oh, man of little faith.
I see.
So...
well, that's why we call it the faith.
That's why you have to stand up right now and now. The climactic moment of the interview.
Another day, my friend, another day.
Yeah, it's like that movie, Boogie Nights at the end. The guy unzips the fly, the porno dude, right? And starts stroking himself. Anyway, going back to writing. This whole interview is interspersed with Jeff
snoring,
flatbed snoring. Maybe he's going to be overwhelmed completely. We have to redo the whole fucking thing.
May not be able to hear anything. I don't know.
Right, but
what
about your weakness as a non-academic writer, fiction-wise? I mean, this Murakami-esque novel you're writing.
Yeah, just trying to come up with original ideas. You know, maybe that's not even really an issue. Just trying to come up with any idea at all.
What do you mean? Satomi says there's not even one thing that's original with Murakami.
Maybe like I say, like maybe there's no real need for that. But I don't know. I mean, my writing I think is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because I write for myself. But it's probably not interesting to anyone else.
Right.
You know, I mean, some people have told me that, well, yeah, it's really cool, man. I like it. But I don't know.
You don't have an ideal reader?
Hopes.
Like, you know, Kurt Vonnegut used to say he had a sister who passed away. He always writes to. You know, that person is a perfect, ideal writer. I mean, reader. What? You hear some...
Is it a joke?
It might be. I don't know. I just hear really loud Chinese person, girl yelling. But it's not out there.
Yeah, Joe.
Right.
But yeah, that's probably what it is. Coming up with
Original ideas.
Yeah. Not necessarily original, but ideas at all.
Yeah.
Just like trying to put something on the paper that you think someone else would want to read. You know.
So when you compare yourself as a writer with OJ, what do you see as a difference?
I think he's better with words than I am. First off, and he also makes stories more. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that they are deeply emotional that I think that they're interesting. Maybe other people wouldn't think that they're interesting at all. But he writes to his audience better, and by that I mean he writes to me better. But so I can't really know what other people think of it.
Yeah. You never thought of writing, let's say, an audience of OJ?
No, I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think he's a better writer than I am. He's practiced it a lot more too. I guess he's been writing since like maybe middle school or something. Maybe before then.
Yeah.
Just writing random stuff. But I mean, I was never really initially interested in it. You know, I was forced to write some stuff in high school, but never had any passion for it. And I mean, I don't really now. I don't really consider what I have to be like passionate work. It's something nice to do, you know, when you want to de-stress or whatever. And I mean, maybe I'd be surprised. Maybe somebody would find it really intriguing and interesting. But
you know, earlier you said when you're talking about giving advice to people about writing, you said it depends on what the people want, right? A certain person might be interested in rhythm and rhyme and so on. And you mentioned poetry. Do you write poetry?
No.
Apart from haiku.
Not really. That's about it. That's about it. And they already do real haiku.
Is there something about poetry that doesn't really strike you as interesting or attractive to you as opposed to a novel form?
To me, it seems, at least some poetry. I'm not a big poetry fan, but maybe that's because I haven't been exposed to a lot of it. Like before, I wasn't really a big literature fan either until I was exposed to more of it. And I was like, oh, well, this is really cool. So it may be true of that too. I mean, Kyle Blackstone was reading he read me a poem by Poe, and I can't remember what it was. One of his more famous ones, if I do recall correctly. But I really liked that. I liked listening to it. Maybe I like listening to poetry. Sometimes it can speak to you, and sometimes it can speak to you differently. I think that's the power that poetry has, that you can reinterpret it differently every time you read it. You can do that with literature too, of course, but poetry is more compact. It's something you can just sit down and read in 5 minutes, most generally, or even less time, depending on building to the poem or what type of poetry it is. Or it could be seasonal, like haiku are supposed to be. You know, read these ones in the spring, etc. Or read them in the winter to be reminded of spring, that it's just around the corner. Something like that could be powerful. But I don't know, maybe it's just that lack of exposure that leads me to believe that I'm not really that interested in it. But I don't close my mind to anything, so I'd be...
Really? Anything at all? You're willing to test it out and experiment?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Depends.
What does it depend on?
I don't know.
You're not sure unless the opportunity presents itself.
Right, we'll take it at face value.